Hello, and welcome back to Talk with Tricia. My name is Tricia Sitemere. If you're not familiar with who I am a personal and professional development coach with my company Control Alt Delete, which stands for Take Control of Your Future, Alter Your Mindset, and Delete All Doubt. On Talk with Tricia, we cover a variety of different personal and professional development topics, and I get to have these amazing conversations with great people who bring some really great insights to the space. So I'm excited about our conversation today, so I'm going to bring on our guest, Miss Sura.
Well, hello there.
Hello. Thank you for joining me today. Everybody welcome Sura Al-Naimi. Sura is the founder of Innovation and Creative House. Hi, hello, Sura, and creator of the masterclass, Unleash Your Creativity. If you're feeling stuck with the same ideas and need to think differently about your challenges, this is where Sura steps in. She is the former Disney Innovation Director, the global in-house idea agency responsible for out-of-the-box solutions. She's also a driving force behind multiple startups and a Singularity University faculty member. For 2 decades, Sura has been at the forefront of massive system changes, spurring on the brightest minds to collaborate in solving challenges. This is so amazing. She sees so many people stuck in overdrive and trying to reinvent the wheel every time they need new thinking. She's passionate about making the expertise more accessible so we can all make a difference together. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Tricia. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and a privilege. And I'm so excited we get to spend some time together.
Yes, me too. Sura and I go back. We sat on a panel together, and it's just been really great, being able to continue to support what you've been doing with Hi, Hello, Sura, and even just with Control Alt Delete and some of the things that I've been doing, just share in your expertise and your insights. So I'm excited about our conversation today. So we're going to be talking about self-awareness and confidence, which I think are 2 really big drivers in our lives and how we see ourselves. So because I like to start off with a definition and make sure that everybody is on the same page with the understanding of what we're talking about, self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And then confidence is the feeling of self-assurance, arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. So that's what we're going to be chit-chatting today. So I'll just kick off the first question to you. Do you think that self-awareness and confidence, do you think that the 2 are related?
Well, now that you've just shared those definitions with me, absolutely.
Okay.
There's always
Before the definitions, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think on a gut level, yes, because anytime I have an awareness, and for me, being systems and frameworks orientated, it's like I'm introduced to a new way of thinking or a new framework that shares something about the world around me or share something about myself. So it gives me the ability to pattern spot, it's a rapid way for me to make sense of the world. And so when I'm given that self-awareness, then I kind of am able to navigate through that world with a lot more confidence and ease, even if it feels difficult or I don't particularly like the phase that I'm in a journey or creation. I have a confidence that I'm exactly where I need to be, or that is, leveraging the strength that I have, or even that is like a flabby muscle for me, and that I'm confident knowing that, and that I'm working on it. I'm in a process of transition. So I think the 2 are very tightly related. And I think a lack of confidence historically, I know perhaps jumping ahead, but a lack of confidence is usually when I'm not able to meaning make in a scenario. And so I don't feel like I have a grip on something, and that's where I can sometimes lose confidence. And so I think having an awareness of even that can bring me back to confidence, bring me back to saying to myself, oh, I'm exactly where I should be right now, or or I get to be, because this is actually the new part of the journey, or this is the most challenging part of the journey, or I've never done this before, so let me be compassionate to myself in this moment.
Oh, compassionate to yourself is super important. Both of us have gone through the process. We're building businesses. We are building programs to support others, right? I think we would definitely be on the same page with, the things that we are doing is to serve others. And I know for me personally, I'm always really big on, making sure that when I'm working with my clients, letting them know, hey, you have to give yourself grace in different spaces. You have to be compassionate with yourself. But it's not always the easiest thing, right? It's easier said than done. So I love that you touched on the compassion piece. Going back to self-awareness, and kind of tying that into what you do in terms of like thinking creatively, maybe what are some ways that you dive into your own self-awareness, and what would you recommend in terms of folks that are thinking about that space if they're entering a new journey?
Oh my goodness. There's just so many layers to this onion, Tricia.
How much time do we have?
Well, I mean, I think that, at a base level, everybody has, I don't know if everybody has, but I'm pretty prone to taking assessments that give me insight into an aspect of my personality or an aspect of my preference system. And so I can't recommend that enough. And for me, it hasn't mattered which one I've taken particularly. It's kind of like, there are some that are going to resonate deeply as they have with me, and there are some where they don't have as much impact. Right. But I can definitely say that through trial and error, there have been some where, I literally use them every day. Right. There's something that I go back to within them. And I think that is the self-awareness journey, and that's the self-discovery journey, to be willing to to see something that I might not yet know about myself. And the way that I find these clues is usually through individuals in my circle, and what they might have done already and what they might recommend to me. I might see an aspect of them that really resonates and say, what's going on there, or what led you to understand that? And they will share with me what it is that what's led to that self-awareness piece. Mm-hmm. So, within my world, I mean, my background is psychology, so I'm the sort of person that would take the same assessment 4 times if I didn't like the result. And I was just getting
ready to ask you about that, so I'll let you continue.
Well, I've taken so many in my time that I would say that, and each one has really added to the next. But I would say, as somebody who's in the world of creativity and innovation, and as a business owner, the one that I found that has really stuck with me day in, day out is an assessment tool called Foresight. And that helps people discover what their creativity preference is. So in innovation, there's different types of problem solving, and each are really important at different phases of the journey. And so this allows the individual within 10 minutes to know what their preference is. That's like where they get their energy, where they get jazzed, where they're like, oh, I just can't help myself. And I think that has been so pivotal for me as a business owner, because I was able to realize that, you know, I had a preference in clarifying and in ideating, and that it was a little flabby in terms of development and implementation. And so that meant that because I had that awareness, I was able to stop looping in the just ideating, and suddenly, you know, be able to say to myself, okay, now, sir, it's the time to transition into development implementation, because it's very important for me to have something out in the world rather than just on pretty pieces of paper. And then equally, when I'm working with clients and working with teams, all of a sudden they're able to understand, oh, this is the other person that I can work with really well. That thing that that person's doing by asking a billion questions, actually it's not annoying anymore, because we need that at the beginning. And the person who asks a lot of questions, that the person who's just quick to get something out the door, actually I really need you at this phase of the project. So all of a sudden there's harmony where perhaps there was tension or conflict. So I would say at the moment, and you know, this is something that I learned maybe 5 years ago, and I have to tell you, it's the one I come back to day in, day out. That for me is a jewel. What about you, Tricia?
I do like the assessments, and like I said, when I started laughing around, you know, when you take an assessment and you're not happy with the results, you're just like, but wait a minute, this isn't me. Like I don't do those things, and so, you know, I love them because sometimes they are able to help you identify blind spots and things that maybe you haven't been able to identify on your own, or, you know, like you mentioned, when working with teams, you know, how people that are working with you might perceive, you know, your approach, or, you know, how you do things. And so the specific example that I'm thinking about is they had our recruiting team take an assessment, and I don't remember exactly, you know, the phrasing or the terminology, but it was that I'm an emotional employee and I always lead with emotions, and that could sometimes cloud decision making. And so I was like, well, you know, I think we need to keep in mind the way that people feel when, you know, we're making these decisions and we're rolling out new programs. And so I was just like up in arms. I was like, we need to take this. We need to take this assessment again. And funny enough, it did not change between the first and second time that I that I took it. And so, you know, that's part of the self-awareness journey, is just like, hey, this is who I am. And, you know, for me, what the learning is that I took from that is, yes, I am a people first person, you know, in terms of even what I'm doing with Control Alt Delete, it is very much centered around people. My background is in HR. And so I am very heavy in the individual connection, individual relationship space. And so, yes, I do think about, you know, how people are feeling when they're going through XYZ, how people will feel, you know, when we're creating trainings, when we're creating various experiences for whatever it is. And so, yes, that is what I bring to the table. And in terms of, you know, strengthening a flabby muscle, it's not so much that, you know, I'm a crybaby that I can't take feedback XYZ, but anything that I'm a part of, I'm going to make sure that there is still a human-centric aspect to it, you know, so that we don't get so far away from having that be included, and just it being, you know, very process-driven, very, you know, automated, and less of that people connection. And so that's kind of, you know, how I've been able to use that self-awareness, and, you know, dance with it being initially an area of opportunity. But when I coach folks that are, you know, trying to translate their skills, how can I translate this as something, as one, I'm aware of, but two, it makes me, it differentiates me from how I'm going to approach work and how I'm going to maybe interact in a situation. So for me, you know, that was something that was pretty eye-opening. And at first, you know, I wasn't super happy with it because of the initial way that I had interpreted this new stage in my journey of self-awareness. So, and then another thing that I do in order, to help me be self-aware is I ask my supporting cast. I ask the people that sometimes know me better than I know myself, which, I would say that my husband, Brian, is a really great person. Sometimes he's able to clock things, in my way of thinking or my reactions about something before I've even able to fully process it, because he knows me so well. And so like, if, there's a challenge or usually with like some kind of setback, I will, try to ask the people that know me, who understand the way that I operate, who understand the things that are important to me, and, kind of drive some of the decisions that I make in creating this life for myself, and say, hey, am I completely off base here? Or, am I thinking about this the right way? And I've been able to get some really, really great insights from them, just in their understanding of, who I am as a person. So, yes, huge fan of, doing the different assessments, but I think there's a lot of value in, just asking, somebody that or someone that's familiar with who you are to kind of, bring that assessment to life, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think another area it seems really obvious, but we haven't mentioned it, is also coaching.
Yes.
And I've relied on that, as well as my peers, the people that I trust, the people who understand my value system and I respect their value system. Then there's also coaching that I've been leaning into pretty heavily, to take things to the next dimension, because I'm looking, in all these moments, I'm looking to become somebody that I haven't yet, in certain instances, I haven't yet
met.
I haven't met that person yet. Exactly. Yeah. And so although I want to do that thing, doing that thing will feel unfamiliar and foreign to me. Mm-hmm. So actually, although I want it, it might feel very uncomfortable. Yeah. And so I might curtail my journey into meeting that new person, before I've kind of got the fruits of it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to create that sabotage. So that's why, working with a coach, and breaking some of those, hey, how's it going? Breaking some of those paradigms down, like you've talked a lot about, questioning limiting beliefs. Yeah. Having the objections in mind. And so, like how do I do that? Knowing like, oh, this is a new paradigm, this is a new way of being that I'm really, really wanting for myself. Mm-hmm. But there's going to need to be some grace in that journey. And then equally, what are the flickers that it's working or that it's arriving, so that I don't get disheartened on the way.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's spot on. And I don't know how I didn't mention coaching, because that's the space that I play in. Also, I think, a coach is a phenomenal way to help you along in the self-assessment journey, and then also helping you with, the breakdown and the digesting of this information and what it means, what it looks like as you're moving forward. So on the other side of that, there is the confidence aspect. So, the two kind of go hand in hand. Have you ever experienced, a lack of confidence? Has it ever impacted something that you were doing, and how did you maybe kind of work through that?
Oh, every day. Every day. Well, I mean, each day, I'm looking to, I'm embarking on something that's new and that's not familiar. And so, and I'm somebody, so this is where self-awareness comes in. I'm somebody that really, and I think a lot of people feel this way, I like to have a really high level of expertise when I do something. Mm-hmm. And so, as I'm looking to do these new things, it can often, I don't feel confident because I don't have, 20 years of experience doing that thing, or I don't have that checkbox. You know, those things that I've learned about myself are really important. And so, you know, how do I overcome it is just to again go back to myself and my self-talk, and just kind of say, well, you know, have there been things that you've done before, that you've looked to do before that you didn't know how to do, and that you know you overcame that? Oh yes, I do actually have a deep expertise in figuring things out. So in a way, I'm like, oh, I do have expertise.
Yeah.
I know how
I
to
didn't know
figure
this was
stuff
here.
out. I do know how to. So I know how to figure. So that's actually been a massive reframe for me just in the last year, to, instead of saying, okay, I have content specific or expertise, to say, you know, I am a problem solver by trade, and so therefore I have the resources to figure these things out. And if it doesn't come within myself, then it's really going back to the point that you just made, which is, you know, I have such a great cohort of peers, you know, that I can draw upon to just quickly dial in with them and say, you know, how would you approach this? I'm thinking this, get you know, a few answers, and then collate that into something that really works for me. So I think that just knowing that there are resources available, one within myself and with around me, really helps me overcome that confidence piece. Yeah. What about for yourself?
Where to begin? You know, I would say it's shown up in a lot of different places, like you said, because I'm constantly trying new things and, you know, testing the waters, testing out, you know, when I was putting together kind of what my framework and my methodology was for Control Alt Delete and how I want to support my clients. You know, I have training and various experience and background in certain things. So yes, I know what I know, but you talk about impact and serving other people. You want to be able to show up confidently. And I would say that, you know, when I first started Control Alt Delete and I had just published, you know, my book, I'm Sick of This Shit, I was very timid in, you know, how I would talk about how I serve people or what I bring to the table. I had never published a book. I didn't know people who had published books. And so it was, I mean, really kind of odd for me to show up and constantly be talking about this book and all the stuff that I'm doing. When in reality, I think my book is phenomenal. I've gotten really great feedback from it, and I get really great feedback from my folks that I'm coaching one-on-one. And it's taken, you know, some time, repetition, in order to not have lack of confidence in that specific space be the thing that prevents me from connecting with the person that ultimately really, really needs what I do and how I show up. And so that's just one example, but, you know, I'm sure you would attest to this as a business owner and someone who's growing a business that you're very passionate about. There are so many things that you just don't know. Like pick a topic and let's go from there. But I would say one of the things that I am happy about and, you know, excites me about myself is that even if there are things where I don't feel confident about it, like you said, I will figure it out. I'm not afraid to try something and kind of sit with what that experience looks like, what it feels like, and say, okay, is this something that I want to continue doing? Is this something that makes me happy? Is this something that I'm jazzed about? Is this something that I should be doing? And make the decision from there, because I feel like with a lot of people, because of the fear or the lack of confidence, they don't allow themselves to do things that maybe they would really enjoy or be really, really good at. And so, you know, I don't want that to be something that happens to me and for me. And so have had it happen, but I feel like I have a very good formula to help not only myself work through, these confidence challenges, but also, it comes up when I'm supporting my clients one-on-one. I think when you think about confidence, imposter syndrome, fear of failure is one that I have a lot of conversations around. Negative self-doubt, negative self-talk, all of those things can be tied into confidence. And one of the things that I was going to ask you about is, how do you act with confidence if it's in a space where you're maybe new and you haven't done this before, but you know that you can do it, even if it is something that you've done in your background and it's just showing up in a new way or a new space. There are all of those things that kind of build up to being more confident and showing up more confidently in the world, if that makes any sense.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. And the first thing that came to my mind was, I started laughing because I was like imagining myself doing jumping jacks and breathing. And I think that that's because, the thing that I go to first is physiology for my confidence, because, there might be something that I'm really excited about, but equally, excitement and fear, the physiology are so similar. So it'd be really easy for my brain to start computing the event as something of danger.
Right.
And then if it's something of danger, then my ability to just be me, right? Yeah. And being me is the best thing that I could ever be in that situation. Yeah. That goes out the door. Yeah. Because, I can't get my words together and I'm not breathing right. And my brain is thinking about an escape route versus thinking generatively about what it is that I want to share and how I want to serve. Yeah. And so to circumvent that, there's just like the grounding practices that really helps me show up confidently. And what I mean by that is, like, if I have only a few seconds before, for example, we just got on, is there a box breath technique that I can do, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. And if I can do that 3 times, that can regulate my body to be in a, hey, I'm safe kind of state. Therefore I can be confident, therefore I can be excited. You
can be you.
I can be me, which I love being.
Yes,
like, it's great. So, but often in these moments, it's because I'm not being me that I'm not, performing, or I'm not able to serve, or I'm not able to connection make in that moment. And that's where I get frustrated. So if I can do little things like breath work, or
affirmations.
I do meditate in the morning, and when I first started my practice, I would only meditate for 1 minute, and it's progressed, and then there's times where I fall off, and then I go back to that 1 minute. Right. So is there just like little grounding things that get me grounded back into my body, regulate my nervous system? And then you talked about affirmations. So I think being able to watch out for my thoughts, like, what am I thinking right now? Like, am I like, oh, you know nothing, you're such a fraud, like, you list it, right?
What are you saying to yourself?
Yeah. And then it's like, that's not going to ramp me up. So just being able to kind of take a pause to be like, what am I thinking? And then to reframe that into something, like, why is this conversation going to be so much fun? Why is this going so well? Why am I going to have the best time providing, value and knowledge, and everybody is going to get the most out of our time together? Like, asking questions that reframe the situation into like a result that I want. That's also something that I do to tap into confidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. No, I absolutely love that. One of the things that I also really love about the work that you do is that it's centered around, creativity and innovation. And, for a lot of people, they probably feel like personal development, self-help, professional development is not thrilling, transparently. It's having to take that hard look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, these are the areas that I want to change. These are different things that I would like to have different. And that's part of it. But when I think about all of the benefit and the value that you get from, going through this journey, I think it's just a very beautiful thing. So I know that you've done this professionally in your work, but how do you bring in creativity and innovation to the personal and professional development journey, to that space?
That's a great question. Well, so I've been running Unleash Your Creativity, which is the masterclass for getting the mindset for creativity, getting the framework and the toolkit for innovation. What's great about it is that it applies to absolutely any challenge that somebody is facing. Mm-hmm. And so within that, people have been going through this process, and some of the cohort are business owners, and they're applying it in a very personal way. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing, with my business that taps into my strengths, for example? Right. Mm-hmm. What do I want my business to stand for? I've moved departments. How do I bring like all that trust and expertise into this new area? And so with that, they've actually been using the tools within the innovation process to discover things about themselves. So first of all, it's like, what is it that I'm really trying to do here? Mm-hmm. So first of all, they were like, oh, well, I'll just do like a lunch meet and greet. And it's like, well, but what am I really trying to do here? Right. And then they get to like this overarching need. Right. And then the next stage is, you said you talk to friends and you're like, am I missing something here? Yeah. They went into like their clue gathering phase, which was like, asking for verbatim and for feedback from other individuals. And from that, creating thematics mm-hmm. to, like their areas of opportunity. Right. And now they're about to go into the ideation phase. And so the ideation is like, well, when I think about what I'm really trying to solve for here. So for example, if I'm trying to create ease, if I'm trying to have like a smooth process, mm-hmm. About my day, for example, where else is there ease? Where else is there a fluid, smooth process? Oh, like Uber Eats is pretty like swift. Like, what are the mechanics of that? And can I apply some of those principles to starting my day? Or like, if I want to stick to a fitness regime, and I want to make it addictive, what is it that what do I find addictive? Well, like, a Netflix show. What are the mechanics of a Netflix show that I can again apply into this space? Mm-hmm. Or as I mentioned a moment ago, looking for resources in other areas, like the container of, Sura doing lives is very small. Her expertise is very small. Okay. Yeah. But the container, the repository of the amount of people that Sura has spoken to, the people that she's interacted with, like able to create a personal relationship, that's pretty vast. So if I'm skinny in one area in terms of resources, can I open up the filing cabinet elsewhere where I have a lot? Mm-hmm. And can I apply some of that gold into an area that I'm thin? I'd say that is true creativity, to be able to reappropriate resources.
Oh, I love that. Reappropriating resources and dipping into other filing cabinets and containers. I mean, we're running a full IKEA center here with
everything, and labels, and then dismantling the labels. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm always like, what am I trying to do? Like just today, I was like, okay, well, where I currently am, there's a lot of darkness in the back of my apartment. And that is usually where I will do the getting ready phase of my world, mm-hmm. But at the front of my apartment, there's just there's 6 windows full of light. Yeah. But I keep just going to the back to get ready. Right. And today I just had this moment where I was like, why am I so beholden to doing things in a way that are not serving me. And it sounds so silly to talk about getting ready, but if you think about that as like a metaphor, like I'm beholden to a certain routine or way of doing things.
Yeah.
Where actually I have this abundance. I have so much light
Options.
literally right in front of me. And so where is there an abundance that I can tap into? And that I really think is the essence of creativity, is being able to, the definition of creativity is being able to do things continually in a new way for a positive outcome.
Yeah.
So what does that mean in that any given situation for growth?
Right. Yeah. And what does that look like? We could talk about this all day because it really is just very interesting. And there are so many different ways that you can spin it and, you know, apply it to, like you said, whatever situation, whether that is how you start your day, how you tackle a problem, how you embark on a new career transition, or whatever the case may be, which is why I'm always so excited to follow your work and to continue to learn from the things that you put out. So thank you so much for sharing your information, your knowledge with us. If folks want to connect with you and keep up on their own, where can we find you?
Yes. So everything is Hi Hello Sura. So whether it's Twitter or Instagram or website, and then LinkedIn is Sura Al-Naimi. And those are the best places to find me.
Okay, well, you guys go find her because she's brilliant. She's fantastic. And I'm just glad to know you. I'm glad that you were able to spend some time with me today on Talk with Tricia, covering self-awareness and confidence. If you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, Tricia Sitemere, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share with anyone that you feel would be able to take some value from this conversation today. Make sure you check out some of the other videos that are part of the Talk with Tricia series. I hope everyone has a phenomenal day, a phenomenal week. And in the meantime, onward and upward. I'll see you guys next time.